Hello everyone, and welcome to your NARSA weekly update for the week commencing Monday, January the 5th, 2026. Happy New Year. I suspect you had a very, very happy New Year. It doesn't really matter what happened on the 1st or the 2nd, but we all know what happened on the 3rd, and wow, another roller coaster of a week for us, and it was all on the upswing this particular time, wasn't it? Just an absolutely incredible turn of events overall over the entire season. Just wacky, but a great start to the season for us, and that's really all that I care about, and I'm fairly sure that you care about. And I think it's safe to say now, I think I'd said on previous podcasts that it would just be good to be part of the equation, and not so much in terms of, and I'm talking about the league title race here, not so much in terms of, if Hearts lose this many points and they lose that many points and then we gain these many points, or all those gymnastics from a mathematics perspective that I'm prone to be doing, but genuinely to be part of the conversation. And I don't think there's any doubt now that we are joint second place. We are level on goal difference. We are level on points. And the only reason that they are ahead of us statistically is the fact that they have 2 more wins than we do. And that actually gave me cause to look at the league table. And the league table, like, we've played 20 games and we've won half of them. And we're second in the table. It's fun. It's funny. It wasn't so funny against Hearts at Tynecastle a few weeks back, and I was low after that, and this time not so much. And I think it's going to be that type and style of season. And I think, like, we are genuinely in the title race now. The only blemish over the last wee while has been that result, and we are finding ways to win. We're still not putting together that complete 90-minute performance. We still see the frailties or the inexperience or the lack of quality or the common errors in each of the games that we're playing, but our management team now seem to have an ability to be able to know and understand what type of style of play is going to help us be successful in a single game. And when it's not working, as we've seen on the weekend there, it gives us that opportunity to course correct. It would be nice to course correct a wee bit earlier, because that was a long 45 minutes at the beginning, but I'll get to that in a wee second here. But when you look at what's happened, I did a wee bit of a year in review last week, if you had a chance to listen in last week, and we've had 4 managers in the year. As it turns out now, what we assume to be our greatest rivals for the title, again, Hearts, fair play to them, are still quite clear at the top for right now. They've had 4 managers in a season, folks. It was confirmed just before recording today. Right now it is, 1:42 p.m. my time. They just confirmed that Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney and a whole bunch of other ragtags have resumed their temporary position until the end of the season to try and salvage something. And yes, they did have 7 victories out of 8 when they were there before. They were scrapping and scraping. They weren't playing that great, and they were relying on some fortune and some late goals and such like that. Not saying that we haven't relied on that a wee bit either, but this is not the Messiah coming back or anything like that, and having sacked the manager today. I said on the NARSA WhatsApp group, I think they spent literally longer recruiting the guy than he did spend in the role. 33 days. It doesn't make Russell Martin's reign of, what was his, 123 days look quite so, I don't know what the word is, terrible, bad, awful, or whatever it is. Now, we held on to Russell Martin too long. That was proven. They haven't done that, so that might be their redoing and maybe get them back on track. But when you also have lost your sporting director, when you've also lost your chairman, when the fans are protesting week after week after week, I said to my nephew, who is not from our persuasion, I said to him on the weekend, situations that you guys are in right now are not created overnight. And they're certainly not, you don't get out of them overnight. You're not able to overcome them overnight. Yes, you can paper over the cracks a wee bit. You can get a wee bit of fortune, a wee bit of luck here and there, but they're on a road that's all too familiar to us right now. Long may it continue. I thought Wilfred Nonsi was doing an absolutely brilliant job, and I'm very disappointed he's been let go. From a human aspect and from the job he was doing for Glasgow Rangers as well, I thought he did a tremendous job and he should be commended for that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But who would have thought it? See, after the Dundee United and Falkirk draws at the end of what would that be? The end of November, beginning of December. I said, in a little bit of a fit of rage, we'll be at this rate. We'll be 12 points behind come the end of the year. We're 6 points behind, and we are level with the team that I was talking. The fact that we would be 12 points behind, so it could be. It's going to be a very, very, very interesting 18 games. Let's just say that. And to navigate a very difficult December like we did and gain points on both of the teams at the top, I think is absolutely incredible and commendable for everyone there. So I think we all get the opportunity. We've all earned the right to look forward with optimism to the remainder of the season here. And that's certainly something I'm going to do. And let's just get the game stuff out of the way, which is the main reason why I feel energised, and hopefully you do too. We had 2 games this last week, and on paper, 2 difficult games. I'm not arrogant enough these days. We haven't had enough success of late to be able to say St Mirren at Ibrox should be absolutely no problem. We were talking about the League Cup winners here, and they've had a very, very good spell under Stephen Robinson, and it's one of these things where, we won the game. And we won it 2-1, and 2-1 I don't think was a fair reflection on how well we did during the game, and it's very similar. You know what, it's similar in the opposite way to the game at Tynecastle. The game at Tynecastle finished 2-1. We weren't at the races. There was no chance we were ever going to get anything from that game the way the game transpired. In the St Mirren game, I felt it was the same, but the opposite way. I thought we had a really good game. I thought we played really well, and we could and should have won by more, but for losing a goal and then making it a wee bit frantic at the end. We get our first goal from the short corner, and then the ball comes in, and Tello Asgard gets his second goal. Was that second goal in 2 games? I think it was. And, a wee bit of a boost for him and an opportunity for him to kind of continue. I was going to say his resurgence, but that would suggest that he's been really good for us at some point, and then he was bad, and then he's coming back to being good, and we haven't really seen the best of him at all. We had a really good double save by Jack Butland at the beginning of the second half, just to let us know, by the way, boys, you're still in a game here. And then you've got Youssef Chermiti. I mean, this is the story of the season, isn't it? Really, truly, for us, certainly the most recent part of the season. And he turns from goal scorer to goal provider, and he puts a brilliant ball in for Fernandez to score, not with his head, but with his feet to make it 2-0. And we are cruising. I was really hoping, and it felt like we were going to go on and do some really good stuff and get some 3 or 4 or whatever, and get a chance to enjoy the game. Not so much. Do they get a VAR penalty? Which, do you know what? It was a handball, right? But his hand's in a natural position. But then his hand changed the direction of the ball, sorry. And then it's a situation where I've seen sometimes them given and sometimes them not given. And I would love to be super clear myself on what the actual rules are of that, because sometimes they're not given and other times they are. And, the referee didn't look long at it, and the interesting thing was I never seen it first time, and then nobody around claimed for it. Nobody around claimed for it the first time. Obviously, we're not going to claim for it, so what I'm talking about is the St Mirren players, and they never claimed for it, and then all of a sudden it goes back, and fair enough. Then their guy's a penalty. If Super Jack Butland goes the other way, you're like, oof, that's all right. But because it goes the right way, it was a terrible penalty. But what I loved about it, I mean, Jack Butland saving it, his penalty saving record for us is absolutely incredible. And that builds stature. That builds an opportunity for other strikers to be going, I need to do something really exceptional and extraordinary here to be able to beat this guy, because his record is so good at penalties. But the great thing for me, the great thing for me was that we didn't stop. We didn't, if our defenders had just kind of stood there and froze, the guy would have had an opportunity to tap in essentially his follow-up. But we had Captain James Tavernier coming in and clearing it away before the guy even had a chance to put his hands on his head in dismay or anything like that. So really good in both phases, if that's what you would call it, from a defending perspective. So really, really happy with that. We lost a terrible goal from I think it was directly from a corner, wasn't it? And then Super Jack Butland, you'll notice I'm calling him that again. He made the first save, really good save, and then their guy came in. I think it was supposed to be Connor Barron. I don't know, like I've said this before. I'm a wee guy, I'm 5'6", and if I'm marking anybody, and they're like 6 feet, I'm only there just to get in their way, try and shove them or whatever when I'm playing. So having Connor Barron, tackling or marking the bigger guys on their team, it just seems like madness. And he didn't react very well. The other guy did, and the other guy tapped it in with his head. I mean, and it was too bad for that. But I didn't think it really didn't feel like, and there was no real drama towards the end of the game that made us think we got away with one. It was just another one to say, okay, right now we're set up for the big one on the weekend, and where do we go from there? The positives from this particular game, obviously the result. Getting that result on a game earlier in the season, we would have drawn that game. And that's just a fact. So that's a good thing. We kept a good run going, certainly since the Tynecastle game and result. Asgard getting on the score sheet and actually playing well as well. I've honestly, I can't remember if I've said this before, but I genuinely see a player in there, someone, if he could just have a turnaround like Chermiti has had, that we would start to go, right, that's what we signed. And it doesn't seem like Danny Rule was quite figured out that puzzle yet, as it relates to Asgard. But good to see him playing well there. And some great saves by Super Jack Butland to make sure that we're doing what we're doing in terms of winning games, that is. And then the Fernandez goal, I was happy with that. In terms of negatives, honestly, not too many for this one. Just the fact that it ended up scoreline wise looking closer than the game was, I think, is probably the only negative I would take from it. But other than that, I'm not going to get upset about winning a game that set us up for some success on the weekend. In terms of the stats, we had 58% possession, so not quite as much as you would think in terms of a home game. But 11 shots on goal, 5 on target, and scored with 2 of them, so just under 50%. And I guess that'd be 40%, and it's kind of not good enough. Versus their 5 shots and 4 on target as well, which we managed to keep 3 of the 4 out. In terms of the referee, I can't actually remember this guy's name, to be honest, and I think he did okay. I don't really remember anything too annoying. As I say, a wee bit frustrated or perplexed or disappointed that he gives that penalty, because I truly don't understand the dynamics of the differences between some that we've seen not given and the one that we see given. Is it the fact it's going towards goal or something? Who knows? I'm not 100% sure. So he'll get the standard 7 out of 10 for that, I think, because I can see why he would give it. I just don't understand it. And that set us up for a big game on the weekend, a Saturday afternoon back home game against that mob from the East End. And one of the ones truly, like when I was testing the waters with various people that I know across the globe, actually, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? There was that, I have no idea, air about things, wasn't it? Really, there was it was kind of like we might win 3-0, we might get beat 5-1. You've just got no idea with this particular squad as to what exactly is going to happen. And I think that's really a true testament to how the season's gone for actually both teams, probably, but certainly our team for sure. We had a decent start to the game without really creating anything, but we were pressing them. They didn't get out their half. It didn't feel like for the first 5, 6, 7, maybe 8 minutes or so, but never really created anything. But what that helps us do is that helps us quieting down the crowd. So even if you're not creating, but you're going in for duels, you're going in for challenges, you're really harrying, you're rushing them, making them do what they need to do, which is sometimes make mistakes and maybe give us opportunities. That was really good. And then after that, we just, for almost the remainder of the half, we had a wee bit of resurgence towards the end of the half, but the rest of the half was carnage, and it was really, really difficult to watch. I had went down to Pin Bar saying, I'm going to just watch this and try and genuinely enjoy it and see what it is. I'm not going to get too upset about anything. Even if we went 6 points behind, that's kind of good to ask for, based on how the month started, how the season started, of course, but how the month started. But no, then we ended up looking like we were going to be on a hiding. And I think the thing for me was it became a lot of deja vu, because we've seen this before, where we have this little kind of muted positive start where it's kind of all right, but there's nothing really to shout about. And then we just go further and further and further back, further into a shell, and then we capitulate, and then they go on, and it becomes an easy afternoon for them. But they get one thing I would say about this team consistently, our team, is that some of the types and styles of goals that we've lost this season specifically, has been so artistically creative. I've literally never seen goals scored like this. I've probably seen him in my level of football, and if anyone has ever come to the conventions and seen me play football, you'll know exactly what what I mean, because I'm rubbish. I just love playing it, and like we've seen stuff like that on the beer league that I'm in, but in professional football, for them to take a throw in, to go back to the guy who took the throw in, and then for him to evade four. And I hesitate to say challenges because there was no challenge made. Now, Asgard, I understand what happens with Asgard. He gets booked for a pullback, in which is only a foul if you wear a blue jersey. I didn't realise that was a rule, but now I do know. And so he can't make the challenge. The other three guys, could have, at any point, because he would get the red card and then we'd just be sitting here possibly talking about a different result, talking about different world events, as it turns out. So I don't blame him, but to go around the challenges and then the shot to get sent away, and it's a good shot. I thought Jack Butland should have done better with that, and I think looking back on that, he would probably agree and say, yeah, I never anticipated it. I had a split second to think about it, and then before I know it, it's behind me already. You just shouldn't be losing goals like that, I was kind of disappointed in him, not for the remainder of the game, but that one incident which got them the opportunity to go 1-0 up, and we get to see the best and the worst of our defence and the team and the goalie in the same game. Gassama had a chance, but I'm still kind of confused how the ball got through to him, and he had a brilliant chance and a top save by Kasper Schmeichel, who made up for that in the second half. Don't worry, I'll get to that point. He's a really good Rangers player at times as well, isn't he? And a great save. And do you know what that did? And then we had the offside goal towards the end of the half, which, when we were going through, the linesman's very, very, very quick to put his flag up and stop the play, when I thought the rules were you let the passage of play go and then you then go and review it afterwards if it turns out to be a goal. But their guy was very keen to say, actually, I want to play the old rules. I want to play it when I used to just be able to flag offside whenever. But it was only when we were attacking. Again, I'm probably just a wee bit paranoid here. No, I'm not. I saw exactly what everyone else saw. But I think, getting that goal where it went in to the net, yes, it was offside, a mile offside. Like there was no real complaints about it. It just, you start to go, well, that's how easy it is if you get the offside trap a bit tighter than it was, obviously, on this occasion. And that's how easy it is to get a goal. So after all the shots they've had, because they were going up both sides, right and left hand sides, and exposing us on both sides, creating chances from both sides, and bringing Jack Butland into play on more than one occasion. And he had a brilliant half. He did really well. He made some great saves, some really good challenges in there and such. And then at the end of the half, you're kind of thinking, right, okay, that's mental that it's only 1-0. And by the way, I watched it on replay, and I was talking to my partner, Erin, and I said to her, like, the saves he made were good, and yes, they should have done better, but the saves weren't like worldies or anything like that. They weren't where you're thinking, like, that's Andy Gorham-esque or anything like that. Like, you're kind of going, if you hadn't made that save, you'd be really, really, really disappointed. So yes, he did his job, and I don't want to underplay what he did, because under those conditions, under those pressures, under that intensity, I understand that these are great saves to make, but we would have been raging if he didn't make them. So at half time, you're thinking, right, okay, it's only 1-0 here. So everyone I spoke to during the game was in unison saying, Asgard has to come off. He has to come off. And it's really refreshing when the manager sees what you see. He probably sees it. In fact, he definitely sees it at a much more in-depth level than we do. But as soon as he got booked, he was completely out of the game. The guy, it was as if he just didn't know what to do. He was terrified to get a second yellow. The game just completely passed him by. After a relatively okay start, there was nothing wrong with what he did in the first 10 minutes or so. So just one of those things. He does make the change, brings on Diamandi, and Diamandi has a track record of success against Celtic and playing well against them and such. So it was great to see that. And then the formation change where the midfielders are supporting each other a wee bit better and there's more support. And they just, like, I don't understand the technicalities of it, as you probably know, but we just get to a point where you start to say, right, this is going to be a different half. I wonder how it's going to go. And yes, they had chances, but we created way more chances. There was a wee bit of a I think they'd one chance, didn't they, before we scored? Then we had a breakaway up the right hand side. Sterling, who had a good morning and not so much a good night, if you understand what I mean, in terms of the press that came out afterwards. These guys, man, like, none of my business. This is a NARSA podcast. I'll talk about the game. But he doesn't even look up, crosses it back, and no one's there. That's a wee bit odd. But it led to Chermiti's goal, and that was an absolutely brilliant goal. It was a great move to go through, and then Nico Raskin, I think it was Diamanda that eventually played the ball through to Raskin. And the great thing about what Raskin did was he looked up before he passed it over. Twinkle toes himself. Yusuf Chermiti manages to get his feet out of the way and in the way to put the ball in and make it 1-1. And you're like, right, okay, this is brilliant. Then our second goal, of course, is almost from their perspective, they must be as mad as we were for the first goal we lost, for the only goal that we lost, in terms of you've got Chermiti there, he's surrounded by guys, it's their throw in, comes to us, and Chermiti just blasts right in and passes it. Barron takes their defender away quite easily, and then he's got all that space to come in and put the ball in the back of the net. The boy's just growing and growing and growing in confidence, and I imagine Kevin Thelwell will be like, told you. I don't know if that's Kevin Thelwell's doing. He's been working hard, and Danny Rule has managed to find something in this kid to be able to give us, what we want, and which is someone who can influence the game in a whole variety of ways, and that's exactly what he's doing right now. Just absolutely brilliant. And then here's a weird thing that happened to me. We were in there early. Of course, the game is 5:30 for us. And then I get notification that there's a couple of guys coming into Pin Bar to do some work and things like that. No problem. The guy comes in and says, I need someone to move my car. This never happens. This is midway through the second half. And I'm like, are you joking, man? Yeah, I just need you to move it. Then I'll just pull my truck in. So I go out. I'm raging because I'm going to miss the game. And I say, I'll go and move it really, really quickly. I'd get the car out, take it across the street, run back in. And of course, when I'm leaving, everybody's shouting as if there's a goal. Immature. There's only 9 people there as well, including myself. So then I go out, move my car, come back in, and they're cheering again. And I'm like, it's not funny. And then I thought, wait a minute, they're cheering a wee bit too loud here. What's this? And then they're up and they're hugging me and stuff. And I looked around and I should have been delighted and elated. And I was pissed off. I was pissed off because I missed it, because this guy couldn't get his truck in. And it was early in the morning and stuff like that. So I don't think I was very nice to the guy. I actually went and had a great conversation and apologised to the guy afterwards. And he's like, yeah, fine, you didn't bother me at all or anything like that. He apologised to me actually for asking me to move. But I missed it and I was upset. Then I was delighted afterwards, of course. But talk about bad timing. And the irony is that Erin says, I can go and move it if you want. I said, no, I'm on my way already. I'll get it done. So I didn't get a chance to truly enjoy the build-up and the goal for Mikey Moore. But yeah, a great shot. Fast-moving, takes a shot. Schmeichel can't get down quick enough. It looks like he's shot, to be perfectly honest. And not literally shot. It looks like he's past his sell-by date, is exactly what I mean. And it was brilliant to see. And honestly, I thought we were going to go on and win 4 or 5-1. The way the game was going, how energetic it was, and such. We had a couple of weird moments at the end. I mean, I think I watched the highlights. I didn't watch the full game again. I watched the highlights again, and there was no real chances for them afterwards. But we kind of, it felt like, took a foot off the gas a wee bit, and they were all kind of frantic trying to get the ball in super quick. But we were in our stride, I think, but there was just a wee bit of too much giveaway at the end where you're going, come on, even up to and including the last minute of extra time, and we're still kind of tense of going, does this team get 2 goals in them, or if we get 2 goals lost in us? And you never come out, no, 100%. So it was a wee bit fraught, a wee bit more fraught at the end, but other than that, glorious, absolutely glorious. So in terms of the positives, only being 1-0 down at half time was a little bit of a Christmas miracle, wasn't it? A New Year miracle. And again, the saves that he had to make, he made. So good for him for doing that. And that's the staple and such. But it wasn't quite as bad, I think, maybe certainly on the highlights replay. The second half was tremendously positive for the most part, I think, and probably very entertaining for a neutral as well. I'm certainly not that. Taking our chances. That's the key, and you'll know exactly what I mean when I get to the stats here in a wee second or two. Moore's goal was great. His celebration was great. See the way that the police guy tried to stop the police guy tries to stop him, and he's like, "No, I'm all right. I'm just gonna keep going here." Was great. And then that when we know this guy gets it, and he didn't have a great first half. Most of the team didn't have a great first half, but he had an absolutely tremendous second half once he got a wee bit more understanding of what was happening. Absolutely great. Super Jack Butland had a really good game again, apart from their goal. Not saying he absolutely wouldn't should have saved it, might have got a touch to it, but it just as if he was kind of sleeping. And just to come back from that sort of adversity in the first half and win the game relatively handily at the end is monumental against any team. Honestly, if that was against Hearts or Dundee United or Aberdeen or St Mirren or something, I would still say the same thing. Since it's against them at Shark Head is I think it could be a huge psychological boost for us, and certainly be very detrimental in terms of psychology and psychological profile for them as well, which is great. And that's back-to-back Old Firm wins at Sharkhead and 5 Old Firm games without defeat in the league. We don't get to count the semi-final where Super Jack Butland got kicked in the head, but just not kicked hard enough, remember? And he never got the red card to even up the games. And there was a stat, where was it? I can't even remember where I heard it or read it, but that's 152 games that they had at Sharkhead where they scored the opening goal and didn't go on to win the game. 152 games. That's a long, 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 long time when you consider the amount of games that they have at that dump of a place. So lots and lots and lots of positives to come out of that game. Negatives, their goal was a disaster beyond disasters, like a freak of nature, weird goal afterwards where everyone would be thinking, how the hell did that even happen? That was awful. Just awful. I think, what I was going to say after the first half was there are levels to the game, and we're at the third level, the third tier, the third rung, or whatever you want to call it in terms of levels, but we have more levels in us, I think, is really what the resurrection of the second half, or the resurrection of the game, and eventually the scoreline for us really taught me was to say, I'm looking at the first half in isolation and I'm going to make a summation of the whole game. And as it turns out, I couldn't have been any more wrong. If I had written that report at halftime and used that one, I would have been dead wrong. So there are levels. We didn't meet those levels whatsoever, not even close. In the first half, we got closer to the levels we want to be at in the second half. So lots and lots and lots of learnings from the game, I think. And, good for... This is kind of under the negatives, but good for Jack Butland for recovering from the goal and just keeping the head and doing what he needed to do. I think Asgard, as I mentioned, had a game to forget after the booking, so we'll see what that looks like. So, but no, I mean, I'm not going to complain at a significant result in a significant game that's very, very material to the team, the squad, the club, and the season for us. So yeah, absolutely fantastic stuff. Really, it was. In terms of the stats, we had 34% possession. Felt like that. We had 4 shots with 4 on target, and we scored 3 of them. 75% return, folks. When was the last time I ever got a chance to say that? I don't think I've said that ever. So that's a tremendous return. 4 on target and 3 goals. Brilliant stuff. And the other one was a tremendous save by Schmeichel, as I said, versus they had 15 shots on goal with 9 on target. And we had Super Jack Butland to thank for making 8 saves, and one of them just went in. So, yeah, that's got a familiar feel to it, doesn't it? Like back to the days of Walter Smith, where he would go there and take a bit of a doing, weather the storm, and then just win out in the game anyway. I think the only thing, maybe if I go back to the negatives, the first half was very, 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 very long in terms of us having to endure that, and it was very, very difficult to do. And the coaches are there for a reason. I don't understand why they can't see and make the change a bit earlier in the game. Is it for optics? Is it to save Asgard's feelings? We could have been 3 or 4-0 down if we're just keeping him on and not making the changes that we need to make. So I'd love there to be a wee bit more proactivity or proactiveness to the coaching, because we could see this guy was having a hell of a game, and I don't know. Maybe it's a wee bit more difficult to do that when you're talking about a formation change and such like that. But you should be able to do something a wee bit more proactive in the games and such. But what do I know? Who knows? Anyway, the referee, Stephen McLean, I thought he had a very rough first half. I really did. He booked Asgard, as I mentioned, and then Callum McGregor and I think another 2 Celtic players did exactly what Asgard did and didn't get booked for it. And we don't have, Tav wasn't playing obviously until the end, but we'd certainly, John Suter's not going to come and have a complaint with the referee. Jack Butland, I'm not sure why he wasn't even vice captain. Anyway, but we don't have, I mean, it looked like Barron did it a couple of times, but we should have somebody up, the captain, of course, because he's allowed to do that, to say, why is that different to that? Why is that? And you're not going to get him to change his mind in the moment, but you're going to influence future decisions. And we're just not savvy enough with that. And that's not even the dark arts of football. That's just using all the tools that you've got at your disposal to be able to do that. And that was rotten, because it changes the flow and the complex of the game, or complexion, sorry, of the game, where one guy's got ultimate freedom to go and do what he likes, as in McGregor, and Asgard is completely shackled because he's now like, oh, I can't put a challenge in it or whatever. So that wasn't good, but he did, fair play to him, he did have a decent second half. And, you know, in the benefit of hindsight, when you see our third goal, Diamande was very clearly fouled on the way in there and he let play go. Whereas another lesser referee might have said, I'm just going to blow for this right now. And yes, they'll complain a wee bit they had advantage, but I can kind of explain that one away. He was like, nope, it's fair play. You guys have still got control of the ball. You're still attacking. Go ahead. And of course, we get the goal right away. So it just shows you, you know, he had a stinker of a first half and then a really materially a positive, significant contribution to the game. So after the bookings, I can't give him a 7 out of 10, but he's going to get a 6, whereas originally, I'll be very honest, it was going to be a 5.5. So all's well after an absolutely tremendous week for us, and hopefully we'll have an equally tremendous week this week, in the week that we're going to call Sheep Week. Aberdeen week. I don't know why we're playing them twice in the week here. I thought there was going to be a full card of fixtures this week, but there's not. I don't know if we're preempting some of the European weeks that are coming up or something. I'm not sure. I don't know why we're doing that. There's probably a reason for it, obviously. But we play Aberdeen twice this week. We play them tomorrow. It's Tuesday, the 6th of January, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we play them again on Sunday. And that's the 11th of January. And that is 4:30 p.m. UK time. So that's 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, twice in a week. And the interesting news that they fired their manager, sacked their manager. Was that yesterday? I think it was yesterday. They sacked him, and they had a wee bit of a resurgence. They had a rotten start, a wee bit of a resurgence, wee bit of a couple of not the best results over the last wee while. But I mean, who do you think they are? Okay, they just won the Scottish Cup and such, and had some European football. But yeah, I don't know if they're looking around the league and saying there's some other managers we need or whatever that looks like. But yeah, the guy's gone. So sometimes that can work against us, and they have this, you know, thank God he's not here bounce, and they'll play well against us. I don't know. I want 6 points from this. If we were to come away with 4, would I be devastated? Tough to say for right now. We need. If we got 6 points from this week, that would be massive for us, because it's another 2 games gone. You know, we're down to 16 games after that. We don't have, you know, we've taken away a trip to Pataudry there already. We'll see how it goes. But 2 games that are certainly going to be interesting, and they're going to be very, very different in terms of the type and context of the games between Ibrox and Pataudry. So we'll see what that looks like. In terms of shout-outs, I did want to say, I wasn't 100% sure the best place to say this, but obviously the January 2nd marked the anniversary of the Ibrox disaster, and the club, as always, did a beautiful job of the laying of the wreath and the service, the ceremony that takes place at Ibrox at the John Gregg stand. And you can see it was the minute's silence was impeccably, preserved. Apart from this one guy in the Simon, and I didn't hear it on Rangers TV, and you could see him getting ragdolled by by his fellow supporters. Us Paisley folks know what we're doing for the most part, but there's the odd ragamuffin in there anyway. But fair play and credit to the vast majority of Simon fans and such to impeccably observe that. And obviously we can't do that shark head, because these guys are just Neanderthals, and they've proven over the years that they're never ever able to keep their mouth shut. But it's okay for us to do a minute of applause for their ex-assistant manager, Robertson, who had passed away there at the end of last year. So odd at times, but great to see that sort of stuff. And it's just that Rangers we're so classy when it comes to that, really, truly, aren't we? Which was great. And as I mentioned over the last couple of weeks, we had a big party, an anniversary party, 30th anniversary down at the Orlando Rangers Supporters Club. And I haven't actually heard how the party itself went. We got some stills and did we get some video? I can't remember, from Colin down there to get organised. But it's always a bit of a flip of the coin to say, oh man, do we have it on an Old Firm game when we've got a chance of a crowd, but we've got a chance of having a bad result and then people just go in their own ways anyway? Or if we get a good result and then people will want to come back and such. So hopefully it was a great turnout and such. But what I wanted to mention about that was what Colin did was they got the Office of the Mayor to officially proclaim January the 3rd, 2026 as the Orlando Rangers Supporters 30th Anniversary Day. And they have this official proclamation from the Mayor's office. And what it says here is, this honour belongs to every single person who has stood with us over the last 3 decades. Your loyalty, your passion, and your commitment to your community made this possible. You'll be able to see the proclamation in person when it is unveiled at our 30th anniversary party. Of course, that would have happened. And then it will be displayed in the club on match days. And actually, I believe there's maybe a thought to send it back to Rangers to have it in their archives as well, and maybe in the museum or the trophy room, possibly. I would imagine more the museum and such. But absolutely incredible work to do that. Now, those are the novel things that people with genuine heart and passion and pride in their football club and their supporters club go to that nth degree to do. So absolutely brilliant work by Colin to see that. It's such a novel, brilliant idea to do that as well. I wish I was able to read that out last week, but it wasn't 100% official at that point, so I had to just hold off to this week. So well done on that. Just another shout out for the NARCO event, the North American Rangers Curry organisation event, February the 12th to the 15th, mostly at the Old Bull and the Bush. That's in Myrtle Beach, of course, and there's going to be golf a few of the days, and there's going to be some excursions and such like that. If you're interested in going to that, please email Andy Burnett at narco2025, NARCO 2025 at outlook.com. He'll give you the details, and I believe they've got a host hotel and such where there's maybe some preferential pricing and things like that as well. So yeah, looking good there. There's going to be the Hearts game that weekend and such. Another reminder of Amanda and Jason Jr. Ross, who are running the London Marathon on behalf of the British Legion. I will leave the link there until up to and including the actual run in and of itself. And another reminder, you'll notice I'm here on my own. I didn't manage to make much of an inroads into getting CJ Novo, Stevie Clifford on to the podcast. I would like to still get the guys on there, and David has promised an introduction to both guys officially, so we'll get them on and maybe just have them on for a regular pod, or have them on after the pod to talk about what the live experience was for them. But that's happening at Edmiston House alongside Mark Haitley this Friday night. That's January the 9th. My understanding is there are still a few tickets left, but it's almost at capacity. So if you're looking for something fun to do on Friday night, you don't have to get up early or anything for the Rangers game because it's on Sunday, then you might want to get yourself along to Edmiston House and see all the guys doing their stuff. I've been part of a few of the Heart and Hand shows, and they're always brilliant. They're just great, absolutely great fun. In terms of the convention, 156 days and 22 weeks. It's going to be in the teens here shortly until Nashville 2026. That is, of course, June the 11th to the 14th. Tickets are out on sale, hotel bookings are out on sale, and we are very, very, very close to announcing some VIP guests. What would they say in player transfers? And by the way, here we are on the 5th of January, having not made a transfer at the time of recording anyway. But in terms of transfer talk, we are at the latter stages of our negotiations with some key figures that will hopefully wow you and surprise you and give you an opportunity to say, hey, that sounds like something. So if you're on the on the fence about maybe attending or not. I'm certain that once we get these ones over the line, you're going to be very, very thrilled and delighted as to what we're doing. So we're solidifying the situation with the MC, of course, with the entertainment and with the schedule and such like that. I slowed a wee bit there because I've got this template I'm putting together, and I want to make sure I do a bit more work on that so that we can get that published for everyone. And yeah, so it's really, really working out well here. We are doing Top Golf instead of a golf competition, like a proper golf competition, so that it's kind of fun for all the family. Hopefully we'll get some folks participating in that. We're going to have a football game or tournament or whatever that looks like, depending on the amount of players that we get. And of course, the World Cup is there as well. So very, very excited to keep all these conversations going for. And with that, we're getting close to these announcements. And then it starts to feel a wee bit more real, doesn't it, when we get that done? We'll be working in conjunction with Colin and such on the communications. And speaking of communications, I wasn't 100% sure where to put this particular part, whether it was going to be in the shout outs or the communication part, but I just wanted to extend a heartfelt thank you to Connor Gunn for all of his help and support on our communications through the last, what would that be, 2.5 years? He's been with us. He took over the social media part of communications from Andy Carey, and he did a great job. He modernised our imagery and had some great ideas for us to really move forward with communication being at the forefront, and worked hand in hand with Colin. He has a few things going on in his life with his recent marriage, and he changed jobs not so long ago, and they have a wee one on the way. So he thought this was the best time, where things are stable, where things are kind of smooth and moving along quite nicely, that it would be a good opportunity to say, here's everything over to you, Colin. And I'm not sure if Colin will do it on his own or Colin will employ someone else to do that. We'll see how that goes. But Connor, thank you very, very much for taking this role on completely unprompted in the beginning and really helping us elevate it and take it to the next level. And as I said to him on a private thank you, I hope this is cheerio for now and not goodbye, because we would love to have him back at some point in the future when the time is right for him. But he has other major life priorities going on for right now. But you're a diamond. You did a great job. Thank you very, very much for everything that you have done for us. In terms of the Gers guide, I did actually look at it this week, and wouldn't you know, there's an away days feature on RTV today featuring the win at Sharkhead. Who would have thunk it? And there's also a bonus part of the press conference with afterwards with John Souttar. And I don't know if it's a kind of double press conference with the Aberdeen game in mind, but certainly I seen a wee snippet of it yesterday where he was talking about the game against that mob. Tomorrow there'll be the loan review, and of course there's the Aberdeen game at home. Nothing much on Wednesday. On Thursday there's a feature on the Rangers YouTube channel called Career Paths. And I haven't actually seen it, folks, but my understanding is it's players trying to guess other players' paths, or trying to kind of piece together other players' paths in the game. And I imagine there'll be some hilarity and some fun in that as well. So you've got some time on your hands. You want to consume some Rangers content, you can go and take a peek at that. On Friday will be the press conference for the Aberdeen game, a training ground segment. And then one of the All the Goals features, and this one features Claudio Caniggia, who had a great spell with us. He was a revelation for us as well. And nothing much on Saturday. Sunday we have the game at Pittodrie, and again it's a later kick-off, just as a reminder for that. And then the women's team are back in action in the fourth round of the Scottish Gas Women's Scottish Cup, and that's at home to Kilmarnock at Broadwood, and that's a 4 o'clock UK kick-off. So the men and the women are playing at the same time, which is a thing, but that's just one of these things. That's the week here. And just another reminder, if your club has received an email from either Gary Fleming and or Alan McWatt to have a conversation, we would love to engage in dialogue with you, just to ask you a few questions. How the club doing? How can NARSA support you? Is it maybe we have some asks of you? Are there anything novel that you have going on? And things like that. So those are quite important for us to make sure that we are having that active ongoing dialogue with our membership. And just another reminder and ask, actually, to, if you can, please, is to give this a like and subscribe on YouTube. It helps us with our subscriber count, of course, and also helps us with some marketing and sponsorship collateral as well. And, you know, it's one of these things. That's what makes the world go round. And the more that we can get active marketing and sponsorship opportunities, including for this pod, if you're interested, the better equipped we are to get A-list VIPs and do other things on behalf of our membership and for our membership, of course, as well. All right, folks, that will do it for the very first edition of 2026, and it's a delightful one, isn't it? I hope you can feel and see the energy, and hopefully that continues through the rest of time. It doesn't fall flat this week. I have a sneaky suspicion it's not going to. That was a monumental result in a whole variety of ways for the football club, and I have a vision here that's going to go from strength to strength to strength. So hopefully I am not incorrect in that. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch and or listen, and please do share it with someone that you think might enjoy it. Let's get off to a flyer for this week and see how things fare elsewhere, and whether we're going to get even more giddy and excited as we go on. Until next week, please do take care of yourself and all the very best, okay? Follow.